Now to Nigeria, where President Bola Tinubu has unveiled an 8-point agenda to turn around the economy and make life comfortable for all Nigerians. The Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister for the Economy, Wale Edun, presented the roadmap for the economy, which was considered at the maiden Federal Executive Council meeting at a press briefing in Abuja today. Let's listen.
Specifically, where are we headed under President Bola Tinubu? He has pointed out in 8 priority areas where he's going to take Nigeria. And his key priorities are to improve the lives of Nigerians by providing food security, by ending poverty. His plan for the economy is economic growth, job creation, access to capital, particularly consumer credit that makes goods affordable to the average Nigerian. And is concerned about utilizing our human resources, our vast, capable human resources, by focusing on inclusivity, women, youth, making all have the opportunity to come to the table and contribute to the growth of the economy and society. And likewise, by focusing on security, by focusing on rule of law and anti-corruption, he intends to create a fairer, a safer playing field for all. Now, for the team that he has put together, he's going to have specific targets, objective measures of performance so that Nigerians can see the targets he set and measure him and the team against them. So, in the area of inclusivity, we will measure literacy rates, measure out-of-school children, and see how successful the trend in increasing literacy, in reducing out-of-school children is, and so on and so forth. Measures will be put in place for security, for rule of law, anti-corruption, and likewise, for the other metrics, there will be measures that allow Nigerians to check how well the administration is doing. In terms of how to get to where Mr. President is going to take us, the key is to increase revenues so that government has enough funding to carry out its obligations and to stabilize the economy as a whole. On the one hand, it is by increasing tax revenue, not by increasing taxes necessarily, but by bringing greater efficiency. We have with us the chairman of the Tax Reform Committee, and the aim is to bring greater efficiency to cut leakages and to maximize the legitimate revenue that should come to government. Likewise, in order to gain and build public trust, there will be emphasis on efficiency in government expenditure, and similarly, effective debt management, so that borrowing has linked to it the return on investment. You borrow and you will see the cash flow that will repay that borrowing. Overall, I would say Mr. President is going to deliver a better life to Nigerians by encouraging investment that increases productivity, that grows the economy, and thereby creates jobs and reduces poverty.
Arise business analyst Bode Ososami is still here with us. Bode, you heard the Minister Wale Edun's briefing on the economy. Are you convinced that we are on the right path?
Well, thanks for having me again on the show. Most of what you said were intentions that had been expressed at least more than thrice before. So it wasn't so new as far as intentions were concerned, and maybe repetition is good. But more important, he didn't give so much on clues on how he would execute and how and when this delivery of a better life to Nigerians, encouraging investment, improving the economy, reducing poverty, creating jobs. How will all this be achieved? Of course, he mentioned targets and measures of performance in all the 8 areas. Very important because the commitment was there to being held to account for a significant change trajectory that can be tracked. I think one important area in moving faster on attracting investment is to roll out well-packaged investment roadshows to the investment capitals of the world, using our embassies to push out comprehensive investment work programs to sell Nigeria in foreign markets. Also, a major extremely well-organized investment event, leveraging the likes of African Development Bank, Central Bank, Bureau of Statistics, Ministries of Petroleum, Minerals, Steel, Afrexim, and other institutional players to attract the big boys, BlackRock, JP Morgan, Microsoft, Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Middle Eastern investors, the Chinese investors, the Indian investors, with a target to increase foreign direct investment by over 100% within a year. At the least. I think South Africa did something similar. Investors talk where like shoppers looking at the showroom and deciding should they come in and have a look. And when they decide to come in, they also need to be lured to buy. So the showroom has to be attractive. You need to showcase opportunities in a way that investors like package these opportunities well. And I must say that if the macroeconomic environment is not addressed or doesn't improve, things like exchange rate stability, inflation, you will be like someone selling beautiful items and the buyer comes into the showroom and smells a bad odor. You know what that means. The buyer will probably leave. My view has always been that we should also accelerate the likes of privatization of NNPC Limited, leaving the nation with a minority shareholding, and also sell most of Nigeria's equity in joint ventures. These are the types of big ideas that would attract investors to the showroom. And I think the intent to do, or at least move in this direction. And you will also enhance the productivity of the sectors when you privatize, bring in local and international private investors and move away from government getting involved in the economic space. Like I've always said, when the government commits to targets or meaningful measures, you can hold them accountable, and that's good. So we're waiting for these targets. But we also remember Nigeria is far more complex than Lagos State, which is what the president and Edun handled before. So there will be some learning and navigating through the process, and we must also be patient to be fair.
Indeed, and hopefully we will match words with action at this rate. So elsewhere, what are we seeing from latest Europe manufacturing PMI that was out today?
Well, interestingly, I think the bottom line is that the PMIs were looking somewhat on the, I would say, tepid side. Before we look at Europe, we also just got the US global manufacturing PMIs. That just came out. That's US S&P global manufacturing PMI. I'm just trying to read it off my screen. In the US, the PMI came in at 47.9. That's still in contraction territory, but it was higher than 47 that was expected. That's US S&P Global Manufacturing PMI coming out just barely seconds ago. But you can see that these numbers, yes, they are slightly improving in say, the US and maybe also in the UK to some extent, but they are not in expansion territory. Indeed, in Germany, the recession risk could be deepening as the latest estimates for August didn't look so good at all. 39.1 in August. And we know that is tough because that's exactly what we saw before. And that seems to confirm the thinking that Germany is still struggling a bit. But in the UK, S&P UK manufacturing PMI was revised slightly higher to 43.0 in August 2023, up from the preliminary estimate of 42.5. So you can see the slightly improvement, but still in contraction territory. My summary, China is ahead, of course, in its signs of a rebound. If you look at the PMIs, in the UK, there are hopes for a market resurgence, but not quite yet evident in the data. While for Europe, especially Germany, even as the government this week, they are accelerating measures to revive the economy, the data is still looking, I would say, weak, especially Germany with PMI under 40. The US PMI, just like I said, also just came out 47.9, better than Europe, but not yet in expansion territory, and also better than last month's last reading, which came in at 47.
Now, Bode, bring us up to date on latest economic activity in China and measures to boost the economy.
Well, an interesting twist in the narrative talked by China's Ministry of Commerce yesterday said that restoring stability in US-China trade relations is the best way to de-risk and not complicating the supply chains with bans to reduce dependence on China. Obviously, the risk factors are different depending on the country's perspective. But latest economic activity was somewhat mixed. We got the China's Caixin manufacturing PMIs back in expansion territory, just like I said. It came in at 51.0. That's not a lot, but I've just read the manufacturing PMIs for Europe, even the US and the UK. They will give anything to get 51.0, given how they're all doing. So we've seen that improvement, which was a bit of a surprise, given that we also got some readings. The official manufacturing PMI that just came out earlier, that came in at 49.7, which was still in contraction territory, but better than 49.3 contraction in July. Beijing is not holding back measures to stimulate the economy. Additional new measures expected to help the property sector could include relaxing home purchase curbs and removing price caps on new homes. Also, on the monetary side this morning, the PBOC announced a 200 basis point cut to the financial institutions' foreign exchange reserve requirements from 6 to 4%. The whole idea is to increase liquidity, stabilize the renminbi, and help their currency a bit. This was after the PBOC yesterday said that the nationwide minimum down payments would be uniformly set at 20% for first-time home buyers and 30% for second-time home buyers. And they also want the local banks to cut down rates on existing mortgages and deposits. You can see that they are really rolling out quite a wave of measures, almost desperately to see some oxygen get back into the economy. But looking ahead, many say the more seasonal impact on China's PMIs will subside, and we'll begin to see more of the weak domestic demand coupled with the soft external sector weighing on the economy, which means these new stimulus measures are really needed, and maybe we'll even be seeing more of them. But the good news, however, is that we're beginning to see early signs of a firmer rebound in the Chinese economy that we expected later in the year.
Very good. Now, in other news, are oil prices still creeping up, and how is the week ending for crude oil dynamics?
Well, I'm looking at oil prices now. It's up 87. It's now for Brent 87.9, close to 89. It seems to be trending up quite strongly today, up 1.21%. And there's been a lot of tightening of supplies, lower inventories, OPEC cuts, all these narratives countered by the narrative of still a sense of weak demand with uncertain global growth. Analysts expect Saudi Arabia to extend the voluntary oil production cut of 1 million barrels a day to October. And as these cuts are extended, prices, they say, could go over $90 per barrel. They're already $88 per barrel. My sense is if we see Brent go over 90, I don't think it can be sustainable over that. Over the 90 range, mainly because if you look at the global economy, the demand just doesn't seem to be there for a strong oil price regime. But we've seen a sharp drawdown, that is reduction in U.S. inventories. The commercial inventory was down 10.6 million barrels from last week, despite the release of over 100 million barrels, or 22% of the U.S. strategic petroleum reserve. That is over the previous year, over a year. Oil producers are also trying to fill the gap, increasing production to 12.8 million barrels per day in August. So there is some attempt to get more into the market. Definitely the US do not want high oil prices in the run-up to the elections. I've said that. And I think they will flood the market to ensure that prices come down. The last thing you want to have is inflation going back up, just as Americans are going to the polls in this very divisive type of scenario. Yesterday, Russia's deputy prime minister said it has agreed with OPEC plus countries to further reduce exports. So you're going to see cuts again. So more cuts, and more cuts. Well, let's see what they implement as per what they say. But the bottom line is the forecasts, I also think, are quite pessimistic in terms of demand. And that will, I would say, offset some of the impact of those cuts. But today, just like I said, it's 87.8 for Brent, quite up to 1.15%. I don't see crude breaking over $90 as a sustainable trend, given the global economic outlook. But there's also a lot of unofficial oil produced and evading of sanctions, even as we are watching Iran. You know, Iran was under ban, all kinds of ban by the US since 5 years ago. But we understand the US are looking away from these bans. They want Iran to pump more oil to the market to bring down prices. So it will be interesting, but you can't rule anything out with oil. Especially now that we are seeing China's revived factory activity, that may stoke oil demand appetite.
All right, business analyst Bode Ososami, thank you so much for joining us on Newsday.